this week on the Steel Report.
So sound is picked up via the processor, converted to an electrical signal, and sent across the skin to the internal electrode array that's inserted into the cochlea.
University of Iowa's been, I'd say, at the forefront of cochlear implant technology now for the past 40, 50 years, really.
Dr. Marlon Hansen and Dr. Camille Dunn expanding the renowned Cochlear Implant program at the University of Iowa, helping so many Iowans hear again while discovering new and critical ear and hearing information every single day.
Continuing to learn about hearing loss and the effects that it has on a patient's life.
Quality of life being enhanced by the decades of hearing research in Iowa City, and research which has become life-changing for so many.
Well, for me, I lost my hearing overnight on my right ear.
On today's show, you'll hear from two Iowa families benefiting from the incredible efforts to restore lost hearing. The Carvers from Alburnett both experience hearing loss. And you're going to meet one of the neatest kids you'll ever meet, Niall Crone. Born totally deaf, Niall is hearing sound for the first time through his cochlear hearing device. And the amazing help Niall receives from his Iowa City Hoover Elementary School, where there's hope that Niall will someday be able to tell his own story. And our program begins right now.
Now from KWWL, this is the Steel Report.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Steel Report. I think it's safe to say, perhaps without question, that most of us take our hearing for granted. But did you know every year some 66,000 people across the country report a sudden loss of their hearing overnight, in some cases for no apparent reason. Others will lose their hearing over time. And unfortunately, there are some born without any hearing. But thanks to the Cochlear Implant program at University of Iowa Healthcare in Iowa City, patients of all ages are hearing once again.
The University of Iowa's been, I'd say, at the forefront of cochlear implant technology now for the past 40, 50 years, really. A lot of the new developments that have come out, even the ones that are yet to make it into the market, that are being first tested in humans, we get to do a lot of that here.
I think this program is unique because we've always tried to understand how we can help people hear better. And we knew early on that cochlear implants had a possibility to do that. Dr. Gantz, he was the first person to bring it to the University of Iowa.
The way they work is essentially you put it in people whose ears are no longer able to take sound and create an electrical signal. So what the ear functionally does is take waves of sound and converts them into an electrical signal to go along, to send along the hearing nerve to the brain. And if the ear's not able to do it, you can replace that function with one of these implants.
A cochlear implant has two components. The external electronic device fits behind the ear, as you can see here on 7-year-old Niall Crone, whom you're going to meet later in this program, and you'll learn all about Niall's very unique situation. This external device Niall wears has a microphone, a speech processor, and a transmitter. The internal part is surgically implanted under the skin in the inner ear to hopefully directly stimulate the auditory nerve.
There is a device implanted into the patient. It sits on the side of their head, so it would sit kind of back up here like this, and then we open up a bit of a hollow piece of the skull behind the ear, and that gives us access to the inner ear, and we can then thread the part that goes into the inner ear in through there. This is the part that sits up under the skin on the patient's side of their head. There's a magnet and an antenna to receive the information, then an internal processor, and then this is the piece that gets fed into the inner ear. Depending on the type of electrode, they curl. Some of them curl like the cochlea, so if I pull this out, you can see how it curls like that. So that kind of conforms a little more to the shape of the ear. And there's other ways that they do conforming ones, or what they call perimodiolar positioning. In this version, there's 16 little wires Some versions are 22, some are 12, and this one's 16 little electrical contacts that wrap around the inner ear. So that's what gets implanted. Fundamentally, what it's doing is replacing the sensory function of the ear, and it senses sound and makes it into an electrical signal that can then be delivered to stimulate the hearing nerve.
Dr. Camille Dunn is director of the Iowa Cochlear Implant Clinical Research Center in Iowa City. She came to Iowa City more than 20 years ago because she says Iowa is the place for research on hearing loss and cochlear implants.
The oldest patient we've ever implanted at the University of Iowa is 96. And I think, we talk all the time about children getting implanted earlier and earlier so that their language can develop, which is really, really important. But on the opposite age spectrum, I think it's also important to realize that hearing in your advanced age is really important. It keeps you connected with your loved ones around you, which improves your quality of life, and I think that's the goal.
This is tremendous. I mean, this is really one of the fun and rewarding parts of our work, is to be able to take a lost sense and restore it. There's no other sense that we can do this for. If you lose vision, taste, smell, any other sense, we have nothing that compares to our ability to take someone who has no hearing and get them, well, it's not perfect hearing that you get with an implant. They function at a very high level. They do exceptionally well.
It's just not that.
Roberta and Jim Carver are well known in the small Lynn County community of Alburnett. Both were longtime teachers there. Jim is an Iowa High School Hall of Fame football coach. He was Alburnett's high school football coach for almost 30 years. And the Pirates' local football field in Alburnett bears his name, Jim Carver Field. But both Jim and Roberta experienced very scary moments when both lost their hearing.
Well, for me, I lost my hearing overnight on my right ear. And so I had tremendous balance issues, and I still have a little, but I went through physical therapy and that helped a lot. But for not being able to hear just overnight also was traumatic for me. And so I attempted right away to contact somebody at the University of Iowa hospitals to see about a cochlear implant. And it was through that connection that Jim was able to get. We talked about Jim getting his as well. And so when you can't hear, you lose so much of what's going on around you.
I knew I was in trouble. I coached. And in the gym, you tried to get pep rallies, get people to yell as loud as they could, scream, blow a whistle, taught PE, and it was gradually deteriorating. And about probably 15 years ago, I became totally deaf in my right ear. You learn to cope with it and stuff. You get to say what a lot and stuff. I didn't want to be one of those people that shook my head and say, oh yeah, and not hear a word that was going on and stuff. And then when I had gone to an audiologist, and they said I wasn't eligible for a cochlear because you had to be deaf in both ears before they would put one in. And then through a new program at the University of Iowa, Hospitals and Clinics, and Dr. Hansen, they changed that. That became a different scenario, a protocol for being able to put it in for somebody with just one ear. And I remember when he put that on, I couldn't hear the words or things, but just to hear out of that ear again was just unbelievable. It was like, holy smokes, because you had lost that. I couldn't hear for 10 years.
So both Jim and Roberta received cochlear implants at University of Iowa Healthcare in Iowa City.
That's a cochlear device. Magnetically attaches to my head.
Okay.
Clicks on. this is in case it gets blown off in the wind.
The magnet just...
Roberta is pretty much able to completely hide her device in her hair. In addition, they enjoy great benefits from software applications, apps which also enhance their lives.
Oh, there we go.
Just wait for it.
There, now it came on.
Now I'm going to set my app so that it will stream directly into my Cochlear, and I have the TV muted so that no one else in the room can hear it. I have this app on my phone, and I push TV, and now I'm getting streamed directly from there. And can you hear the TV?
I cannot.
I can tell you what she's saying, what's going on. That's your channel. And that's all going directly to my Cochlear. I can set it so it can go directly to my hearing aid as well.
So this one is my hearing aid, and this one is my cochlear.
The cochlear implants have definitely helped Roberta and Jim in a major way. But the new sound at first, they say, was different and a challenge.
A big learning curve because you have to learn, you have to teach your brain to pick up those signals again. When we first started, it sounded very garbled. And so, but your brain is amazing, you know, and it through those apps that I shared with you, the Heroes and Bring Back the Beat, those types of apps, you do, it's called learning therapy. And so with that, you practice every day and your brain adjusts. And so it's still not 100% and never will be, but boy, it's so much more better than being deaf.
Truly a blessing for me. I'd get along very well, one-on-one, talking face-to-face with somebody. You know, I don't miss very many words. I still have issues in large groups and large crowds and stuff. Seems like the cochlear kind of gets connected, maybe somebody talking back there, and that's what it's picking up, and I can't hear the person right in front of me. But we work with it, gotten better, do a lot of drills and stuff, do this online streaming through the TV, and that makes you focus so that it's all in the cochlear and gets better.
Jim and Roberta also have high praise for Doctors Hansen and Dunn at University of Iowa Healthcare.
Well, right away, they were both in on my initial meeting and have been very helpful all along. As far as even now, I will email Dr. Hansen or Dr. Dunn, and they can give me information, follow up, those kinds of things. So it's been really, they've been very helpful.
I have 100% hearing loss on my right ear, and I'm down to like 32% hearing only in my left ear. So the first two words and the last two words in a sentence I didn't hear. I was trying to guess what everybody was saying. And now I'm up to 87% with both ears connected, and that's a huge asset.
It's been wonderful for me to have that back.
I really wanted to make sure that patients understood the role they play in expansion of cochlear implant candidacy, the role they play in how we've gotten to the point we are. It's through our research, really, that allows us to continue to advance what we do every day. And I think that's really important.
What do you want to say?
When we come back, you're going to meet Niall, an amazing 7-year-old from Iowa City, born deaf, but now hearing sounds thanks to his cochlear implant. We'll have Niall's story and how his school in Iowa City plays such a huge role in Niall's development. That's coming up next. And welcome back to this week's edition of the Steele Report as we continue to talk about the amazing work of the Cochlear Implant Program at University of Iowa Healthcare. Right now, I'd like you to meet this young man, 7-year-old Niall Crone of Iowa City. Niall received his cochlear implant when he was just 2 years old. Now, you might remember Niall. He was a Hawkeye football kid captain in 2023 and was featured in this video from the great video pros at the University of Iowa. Niall is truly an amazing person and has proven to be highly intelligent. His situation, however, very extreme. in that Niall was born totally deaf. He also had many other health issues at birth and has had many surgeries. Niall's right ear did not form properly. His left ear did, but he was still born deaf. But because of his cochlear implant, Niall can now hear sounds, but does not yet speak. A hope is that someday Niall will be able to tell his own story.
We're never going to give up hope. You know, it might be when he's 15 years old, it might be when he's 20, it might be when he's 10. It's just, you know, a day at a time, and we'll do whatever we can do as parents to get Niall the right resources and the right services to help him, you know, hopefully do speak. If he doesn't, that's okay too. We'll just kind of go from there.
We know from talking to other families and other kids that have cochlear implants that it's a long road, long journey. We know that sign right now is our main way to communicate with him right now. And he loves, you know, he's just a typical little 7-year-old. Just, you know, might not be able to talk right now, but he's just like everyone else, and he enjoys doing everything like any other 7-year-old kid.
Niall has been learning sign language now for several years.
My name is Niall.
Paige Kaufman is Niall's sign language interpreter this year at his Iowa City school, Hoover Elementary School, where she has helped Niall show big improvement this year.
We do sign language primarily. I do with him. I don't really work on talking with him. We just work on our sign language, and it has been phenomenal. At the start of the year, I would type down the sentences that he would make and just record, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences that he would make throughout the day. Now I can't do that because he's just signing so much that I'm like, I can't type down all the sentences he makes. He's just all day. It's amazing. And like, he's making connections, he's signing new signs every day. Like just today, he signed thinking, and yesterday he did alone, or like by yourself. There's just so many that I'm just like, whoa. I know I signed that, but you picked it up. You understood that, and now you're using it right. It's amazing.
Niall is among 457 students at Hoover Elementary. That's Iowa City's second largest elementary school. And Hoover principal Carolyn Sainer says Niall is one of 53 students at Hoover using what is known as an individual education program.
In public school, our doors are open to every student from every walk of life, every background, every family in our attendance area. And it's our job as educators to do our very best to provide every type of access we can for every student. So with Niall in particular, having cochlear implants and needing to use sign language, we have to find different ways to support him. So we work really closely with our AEA, and we have the AEA audiologist plus the audiologist through the University of Iowa speech and language programming, who help us with his implants and his mini mic and all of the electronic pieces of his learning every day. And then I think the most important thing we have had to think about for Niall is his interpreter. We've been really lucky this year to have Paige. Paige is a friend to Niall. She understands him as a human being, and that has helped him show a lot more growth and grow his maturity. He's built friendships this year. He has connected with his teachers. He's been doing his work and showing everything that he knows because he has the supports of our AEA staff and of his interpreter.
This cart looks different.
Paige Kaufman is with Niall all school day, signing for him all day long. In this case, as second grade teacher, Vicki Hauser conducts one of her daily lessons at Hoover Elementary. We're
working on adding in some hearing practice with his TOD, his teacher of the deaf. We've just started that, but I like to say that a cochlear implant is not a cure, it's an accessibility tool. So he's not hearing now that he has cochlear implants, he's still deaf, but it helps him have access to certain things. And as he continues to work really hard, it's Cochlear implants are not perfect. He needs to work really, really hard to get to a point where he would be able to hear like we, expect people to hear.
Special education paraeducators also play a major part of Niall's team at Hoover Elementary. Joseph Ellis is with Niall in the afternoons, and Connie Thomason is with him in the morning.
I've seen a lot of improvements. He's signing a lot more. He's paying attention a lot more. I would say he's listening, but that's not the word that I want to use. He's just visually with his eyes, looking and actually responding back with her with different signs.
I stay with him, make sure he stays on task, and make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to do.
In addition, Niall also works with audiologists at the famous Wendell Johnson Speech and Hearing Center at the University of Iowa. Niall signed to Paige that he wants to wear the microphone and take part in this interview, as Niall talks about some of the things he likes.
I love four-wheeler.
Yes, he loves four-wheeling and go-karting, loves his younger sister, and loves hunting.
Oh, you like to go hunting?
And Paige says he also adds this.
Oh, sweet, I love you.
Niall, you just made my day. Thank you. It's been and will continue to be quite a journey for the entire Crone family.
It is extremely hard or frustrating when you're trying to communicate with your son and he's deaf, and I might not know all the right signs to communicate with him. And I feel like anytime we can be surrounded by other families or deaf people that can interpret and sign with Niall, it helps us as a family, and it makes Niall feel included, and like he knows there's another family out there that has someone that's deaf or has cochlear implants. And I would say our biggest struggle right now is, like I said, communicating with him. He knows so many signs, and for us, me and my wife, we're taking sign language class and we're learning, and it's just hard when your son's the first one out of both our families to be deaf. So it's great working with the university, and as we said, they're another big part of Niall's team. All the doctors and nurses that want to help your son get the best result in his life, from his hearing aspect is really, nice, and it's rewarding to know that they're helping or they want the best for your son as much as you do.
We're just very lucky for our family support. We're lucky that we live close, and we're lucky that everybody's willing to learn sign languages and even to learn about Niall. And Niall's got a lot of, history and underlying health concerns when he was first born. But we're just lucky that we live close to the university. We're very grateful for them, and we feel that Niall would not be here today if it was not for them. And it's a work in progress. We've really enjoyed getting to know other people that are deaf and hard of hearing. You definitely take for granted how great when you're here you can hear and talk. There's a lot of things that I didn't realize if a deaf or hard of hearing person has the challenges they face daily. Anything from going through the drive-through at Starbucks to, checking in for an airline your plane ticket, or there's just a lot of things that I would never think of until having a child that is deaf and hard of hearing. So we're just lucky that he's got the cochlear implants, and we know that. We know he's hearing. It's just a matter of how much he's comprehending, and it'll be a work in progress for years to come. So we're just lucky that he has the cochlears.
By the way, if you would like to find out if a cochlear implant is right for you, or if you or someone you know is eligible for a cochlear implant, just call this number on your screen right now, 319-356-2201, to find out more. We'll be wrapping things up for this week in just a moment. And welcome back as we wrap up the final Steel Report program for 2024. It has been a great year, meeting so many different people and having the privilege of telling their stories. I truly thank everyone for that privilege. A reminder, next Tuesday morning, December 31st, 9 till noon, at the Blackhawk County Sheriff's Office, that big open house honoring 9 Sheriff's Office staff retiring, including Sheriff Tony Thompson. Stop by and say thank you to all 9 of them. That's it for 2024. As always, thanks for watching.